All right, hey guys, welcome to another Emacs video. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about what to do after we've installed Emacs. We built Emacs from source on a computer system. Where are the Emacs files located? You need to know where the files are located because we need to know what to do with them. Ultimately, we've installed Emacs and we want to get to the point where we are configuring Emacs because our custom cool Sparky Emacs robot, all of it is built with our configuration files. Everything that we do, that we customize with Emacs, that makes Emacs great, and it's getting greater by the minute, is in our user directory files. So we're going to find out where those files are. We'll also talk about the system files. I want to show you guys this functionality. You can see what's in front of you shaking around here. That's called an Emacs buffer. It kind of moves around like this. You can do things with it. You can open up another Emacs buffer, close them. That's really what you're working with. Frames. I use frames, Emacs frames, but here we have the Emacs hover. This is one activity on KDE, and we can move to another activity. Cool sound effect, right? There we are. So here we are on the study activity, which we want to move to the study activity. And did I change the name of the bookmark? I think I actually did. I don't know how that happened, but now it appears that there's not a bookmark, so we have to go to the activities, and we can go into the study this way, and we can reset the bookmark because the bookmark somehow unset. I don't know how that happened, but here we are. We're in the study profile, in the study activity, and we've got a little bit of a slideshow here. So our goal for this video is really we kind of want to do a little bit of housekeeping here. We want to get through the two aspects of our Emacs installation, getting Emacs built, getting Emacs installed, and then we want to know what we have on our computer system so that we can figure out what to do in terms of building a custom-built Emacs configuration. This video is where you can start. You can look at how to install Emacs, build it from source on Ubuntu, on Windows. You can build it from source, or you can install it from a package manager, even easier. When you look at that video, you'll see the GSource video in the background. Pretty cool. All the developers of Emacs over the last 30 years hovering around building Emacs. They look like they're hovering over a nest. I mean, they're literally building the software, and it's sped up, so it looks like it's exciting. Well, what's actually happening in 2025, 2026 is it is exciting. People are using AI. They're moving at a much faster pace. New features are dropping. EWM is one way that you can use Emacs as an operating system, and it's pretty cool. Typically, you couldn't do that in Wayland, just dropped. Now you can. So there's lots of cool stuff. People are building these things. As good a time as any to get on board the Emacs ship and get started with those things. So you can start watching that video. And one of the things that we want to do before we get to the configuration is make the distinction between configuration files and system files. System files, think of an autonomous car. You open up the hood. Maybe there's some wires. There's a battery. There's lots of controls and things in there that you're not going to touch because it's all under warranty. Someone else is going to work with it. The system files in Emacs, those are the core files. Typically, you're not going to be touching them either, so you don't think about them. I'm going to show you where they are. We might have a look through some of them so that you kind of are aware, at least, of what they are. But what matters here is the distinction between system files and user files. So I want you to keep that in mind because it's the user files that are going to be where we're going to be doing the bulk of our work. And we will look at those in an upcoming video here. So where's the Emacs installed by default on Ubuntu? It's in user bin Emacs. This is a sudo access. You can think of sudo access as a little bit like a vault, and maybe you can think of it as the motor of a car under the hood. But there's a key, and so sudo is your key so that you can get into those files. Well, you can actually look at the files, but sudo will give you the access to write to those files, administrative privileges. On Windows, you've got Windows like this. You're used to it. Your C drive. There's a whole bunch of stuff behind there on an Ubuntu system. We've got lots of different directories here. You might have the mount directory. You might have the etc directory. You might have a bin directory. You've got lots of directories here. and the user bin Emacs directory is one of those directories, and that's where if you install Emacs from a package manager, you do sudo apt install Emacs. If you are on Ubuntu, that's where it's going to put your system files. Keep in mind, those are not your user files, those are your system files, but that's where they will go. You can move these, you can put these somewhere maybe a little bit more convenient for you, like in the bin directory, put them there. If you added sudo, you can just move them on, but wouldn't be a problem. You can also just kind of leave them where they are because you're not going to be using them. You don't have to worry about them. But if you installed Emacs on Ubuntu, that's where they would go. On a Windows system, they're going to go in different spots. So you might want to be aware of those. Typically, if you double-click on an executable and somebody gives you an Emacs program, it's going to go in your program files. You might find Emacs in here if you install it from a package manager. I have installed it from Chocolatey and actually found it in there somehow. Ended up in there. Chocolatey, the last time I checked, it does not install it there. It'll install it to tools.emacs right down here, tools.emacs. That's where your system files will go if you install with Chocolatey. I really talk about Chocolatey more than the other package managers like Scoop because there's a lot of programs installed with Chocolatey. So if you did do Choco install Emacs, that's where it would go. It would go into the tools.emacs directory, would be the system files. Your executables, in this case, would be installed in the Chocolatey bin. Run Emacs is the one you care about. This one here starts Emacs and it shows the console. So the Run Emacs doesn't show the console. The Emacs client, of course, is for the daemon, which is always running. If you want to use the daemon, that's what you would use. Typically, I don't use the daemon. I don't use Windows anymore, but if I did, I'd be using this one, the Run Emacs one. So what are the user files? We talked a bit about that. The system files are under the hood. User files are like our Emacs robot. We're going to add a jetpack. We're going to add some gravity boots. We're going to have some musical, some jukebox. We're going to add like some medic kit. All these sorts of things. I'm going with the theme that's in the desktop images. So, you wanted to think along the lines of the theme with the images in the background. Your Emacs could be a robot and you could have all of this extra functionality that you installed, like a jetpack or a surfboard or something like that. And if you installed it that way, those would be all customizations that you made that would go ultimately into your init.l. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So this is what we care about. It's our user files. Where are the user files installed by default on Ubuntu? Home username.emacs.d is where I put them. You might need to actually create that. You would do a make dir, and then you would do, you make your directory.emacs.d, and that would be where you would put your init.l or your .emacs if you wanted to do it that way. There's another way that you could do it, or you could launch everything like I do off of your early init. And that's the way that I do those things. I'll show you that load time or that load order in a second here. So home username config Emacs is the XDG way of doing things, which is a little bit more organizationally astute. Everything goes in the config directory. .config. Your .files.config means it's a hidden directory. Just so you know, if it's a hidden directory and you wanted to look at it, you would use ls -a rather than just ls. You won't see those there. So home username.config emacs.d. I tend to put them here because it's closer to the root, but this is maybe a little bit more organizationally astute, which is relevant, I think, as well. So where are they installed by default on your Windows system? So on the Windows system, it's C username. C users username.emacs.d would be a great location. You can find a lot of folders and things in there. For example, on your Windows system, if you have Dropbox installed, it would be in there, Dropbox. Or you might have some videos in there. You might have some pictures in there. Lots of things. Those are your user files under the username. Emacs.d could go in there very well. If you installed Emacs from Chocolatey, it's going to put it in this APPDATA roaming.emacs. A lot of things go in AppData. This is a hidden directory here. You have to adjust the view on your Explorer, Windows Explorer, to have a look at that. And there's a lot of things here. So if you are a web developer and you use, let's say, the Chrome DevTools or Mozilla DevTools, and you create custom devices so that you can look on different screen sizes to see how the device works, those configuration files would go somewhere in this APPDATA roaming Mozilla or one of these different programs, and that's where you would find that's where the configuration files will be exported. You would find them so you can import them onto another system. So lots of things going there, including your emacs.d if you install it in Chaco. If you built it on WSL, it would go here in the AppData Canonical Group Limited Ubuntu on Windows 79 RHKP1FNDGASC. That is local state root FS. Weird spot, long path. That's your WSL stuff, all your hard drive stuff. So your .emacs.e might end up there. Again, like you did before, you can move everything Emacs off of there onto your local system. It'll still work. So let's take a look at what is site-lisp. And to point this out, what is site-lisp? Site-lisp is if you have one computer system and 25 different computers, each computer is a user, and they all share like one splash screen. So you go into the library, you can open up the library, and it's got a splash screen that says, search the library database or something. That could be built with Emacs quite easily. You would just have the site-lisp, and then that would be your splash screen. It would go into this site-lisp directory. As that's something that you want to keep in mind, because you will see site-lisp around, but typically you're not going to have to worry about it too much. It's in your user local share Emacs site-lisp. This is another sudo access only directory on Ubuntu, and the site-lisp directory on Windows, I don't entirely recall. I believe if Chaco installs it, I think it's actually in here somewhere. So Chaco installs it. It goes in here somewhere. There's Emacs, and then there's a few different directories. You'll have a couple directories here like that, and at some point you will have a site-lisp directory. And so that is, maybe you might find it actually within the system files. You don't find it somewhere else. If you install it on Ubuntu, it's going to be installed in here. And this is relevant because sometimes you'll install some packages like sudo apt install mu4e, your mail program. You might install that. And if you did, it would put it up in here, and you might want to move it. You might want to move that from this directory to a directory in here, maybe .emacs.d, for example, elpa. You could move it there, or .config .emacs.d elpa. Actually, this is backwards. You have to do it like that. There you go. So this would be sudo, because you wanted to move all of this stuff. And that would be how you would move your library into a localized location rather than having it in a site-lisp. You could just leave it in a site-lisp if you want, but I like to put all of my libraries in the spot where they belong. So here, if you're using Octec, this is for LaTeX, of course. Octec might have some stuff in here as well. PDF tools might put some stuff in there. I don't remember exactly. I don't use PDF tools that much anymore, but pretty much, if you install something with sudo apt install, sometimes it puts things into the site-lisp directory, and you would want to remember that, to keep that in mind. So that's it for this video. Our primary task with this video, we really wanted to make the distinction between the user files and the system files. We are doing a bit of housekeeping. We want to get as quickly as we can to the exciting part where we start talking about how we're actually going to set up our Emacs configuration. We're going to be talking about our reproducible research pipeline and how that works with literate programming. We'll talk about how we can set up our dot files. We can organize our dot files. We'll talk about the early init. I actually talk about that early init right now, and site-lisp.l. Site-lisp.l is this is an order of directories, an order of files, and order of files where you can add custom Emacs code to these files. This is the order. Site-lisp starts first, and then early init.l, and then init.l. I typically use this one And then I don't even use that one. I just redirect this one to other files, including to this file, actually. I redirect this to this file, but even if I didn't redirect it, it would just go there after it's going to run that. So you could put hello here, then you could put world here, and you could put how you're doing here, and it would literally read, hello world, how are you doing? Here, just added here, didn't make that distinction on the end. So that gives you an idea of the order of how you would load those things up. So for the remaining video, we want to look at launching Emacs from the command line. I just want you to kind of take home with you a couple of concepts from this video. In the last video tutorial, we installed Emacs onto our computer system, or we built Emacs from source. Now that you have it, you know that your system files, they're like under the hood. You don't have to deal with them. And then your user files are the ones that you care about. These two different directories, the Emacs directory that has the system files in it, the executables in it as well, and the user.emacs.d directories, those are what we care about. They need to know about each other. We're going to make sure that they do. And then we are going to get to the configuration part. So thanks so much for watching, and we're looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video.